Hey guys, this is Pessy. I'm a certified personal trainer and a nutrition coach, and I'm all about health and wellness for the mind, body, and soul. And today we're talking about the key to happiness. I know that could sound a little bit like clickbait, but let me explain and you will understand. So I know this is a lot to be claiming that I know the key to happiness. This is just my personal opinion, so take it as you want. I feel like I'm at a place right now where I feel confident in saying that my baseline emotional and mental state is happy and peaceful. Like, that is usually the state that I'm experiencing most of the time, and I'm so grateful to feel like this, and it feels amazing. And I just want to share what I think got me to this place and what I believe to be true. Language is very powerful, so we have to first understand the definition of happiness and the way that it pertains to this conversation, because happiness can just be looked at as a fleeting emotion versus happiness as a state of mind, a mental state. What I'm talking about today is like that state of mind, mental state versus that fleeting emotional state of peace, contentness, satisfaction that is kind of equivalent to what living a happy life feels like and being a happy person internally. Obviously, peace and happiness are two separate concepts, but they overlap a lot. Living a happy life kind of is a parallel to living in a contentness and satisfaction and an inner state of stillness. So that's kind of how I'm defining it in this conversation. Now that that's clear, I just want to hop right into it. I don't want this video to be too long because I feel like I can talk about this for a long time. The key to happiness is presence, honestly. Obviously, there's a lot to get into when it comes to just saying that blanket statement. Like, what does presence even mean? How do you cultivate it? And how does presence equal happiness? To start off, what presence means is you are just in the moment, dropped into what is going on around you without having your thoughts lost in the situations that you're going through in your daily life, whether it's family stuff, work stuff, relationship stuff. It's not being worried about all of the things that are going around you and not worrying about your future or thinking about your past. You're just in a state of flowing consciousness where your mental, emotional, and physical being is extremely dropped into the moment that you are in, and you are not taken up and being pulled to different places. This is like an insanely amazing, kind of hard state to get into if you are not used to it. Okay, I don't like to say it's hard because then it kind of sounds like it's too daunting. One thing I'm going to say is that everybody can obtain this state. Everybody can experience presence, and everybody does experience it, whether you're trying to or not, at least once in a while, you know? Some people are more prone to feel it more often than others. That just goes down to the personality type, how you grew up, your programming, your habits, your life situation, all of that, obviously. Eckhart Tolle writes in his book, The Power of Now, the importance of living in the present moment and how that ultimately leads to living a more fulfilling and happy life, because he believed that the basis of human suffering is the attachment to future and past moments. When you think about when you're your most happiest, carefree, fulfilled, and just content in your life, it usually goes back to when you were a child and you're on the playground and you're just having fun, playing with your friends. When you were that age where you didn't even understand the concept of worrying about things, that's probably the number one time of our lives that we were our happiest, most carefree. The best gift and the best power that we had as a child was the fact that we were constantly in the present moment. We were constantly just enveloped into whatever we were doing, and that was apparent because if you were playing on the playground as a child, you were so in the moment. There was no concept of time. There was no concept of worrying about the past or the future. It was just you were on the playground playing with your friends, swinging, so amazingly present. And that's something that as we get older and as responsibilities come and as understanding the ways of the world and understanding the stresses of the world, that kind of gets taken away from us. Work of this life, oddly enough, is to try to get back to that childlike state where we were able to be present because we didn't even understand the worries. But obviously now, understanding the worries of the world, it's a little more difficult to be in that state. But that's why it requires us to be aware and mindful of trying to obtain this state once again. Being present just allows us to have so much fun in the moment, just allows us to learn so much more, reduces your stress. Stress is one of the main reasons for unhappiness or unsatisfaction. That, along with comparison, not appreciating what you have in front of you, and taking us back to as children, we weren't constantly looking at what other people had. I'm talking young. That state of being where you just understood what you had and that's it is a powerful state to be in. Being in a state of true presence is not only saved for when you're having a quote-unquote like fun moment, when you're going out with friends, when you're doing some cool stuff. You can obtain a level of presence in your day-to-day life in the most seemingly mundane moments, at work, doing your taxes, like cleaning the house, doing things you don't want to do. If you are able to drop into a state of flow, fully being present in the process of whatever you are doing, it automatically becomes more enjoying. There's so much research and texts to back this. Just like in positive psychology, the whole concept of flow, which was developed by researchers like Martin Seligman, which is basically kind of the same thing, closely associated to the whole concept of mindfulness, which is being immersed in the present moment. We see this in the Buddhist philosophy as well, where Buddhism often links inner peace or nirvana with true happiness, which is basically suggesting that true happiness comes from within through discipline and mindfulness. We can constantly see the same concept be brought up in many different religions, many different teachings, texts, research. Me personally, I have seen this change in my life. I've always had this like kind of understanding of how inner peace and everything works, but it's only once I became very, very self-aware and mindful of this whole concept and understanding. Like during my senior year of high school, I started actively meditating, doing yoga, journaling, and just becoming a lot more aware of myself, my thoughts, my beliefs, what I was listening to, consuming, and putting my time to, actively practicing to be more present and practicing to let go of the past and the future and letting go of the situations around me and just dropping in. Like I recently went on a 10-day trip, which was amazing, and it was like such a great time. Didn't have to work for 10 days. Everything was paid for. I got to meet some cool people, made new friends, and this was the first time in a while where I really had that much free time and just so much fun exploring. Traveling is like such an amazing experience, and there was a part of me that was like, oh my god, am I gonna feel like a kind of like depressed when I come back home? Coming back home after that, like it was just so apparent and so visible how much me implementing this knowing and this practice into my life really affected my homeostasis of my being, because I came home and right away I was just like so present in like being home with my family and going back to work and putting time to things that I care about and just enjoying whatever I have around me and really being present and feeling grateful for everything that I had in the moment. In each separate moment, I make it a point to just see how amazing and privileged I am to be having and experiencing everything around me in the way that I am. And therefore, it's like I'm not feeling like I'm lacking something. I'm not feeling like I'm missing something. Obviously, we all have our moments, and I'm just a human and it's going to happen regardless, but it's just the ratio to where I'm just grateful and happy to be alive and living this life, even when I'm going through hard stuff, compared to me feeling like a void or missing out or, feeling empty and sad and depressed. Like the ratio is probably like 90-10, maybe 85-15. I don't know, but it's just, I feel so blessed and so grateful. I'm just in so much gratitude to this state of being. I feel so lucky to exist in it. Some ways you can obtain a similar feeling is by practicing meditation, practicing detachment from your surroundings materialistically, and emotionally, detaching yourself from the situations you're going through in your relationship, in work, in your family. You can understand how real the experience is while also not having to be so affected and reactive because of it. Finding this line between seeing the reality of the situation and also being able to separate yourself from it. This is very doable by also constantly reminding yourself, that inner narrative in your head. When you find your mind swimming in thoughts of the past, the future, or things that are stressing you out, it's like actively trying to combat those thoughts, actively trying to quiet the mind. And the best way to learn to quiet the mind is to try to practice meditation. And that can be scary, I know, and I have a video of meditation that I'll link in the description that I describe what my practice has been. But it doesn't have to be scary. You can do 2 to 5 minutes, It doesn't have to be a scary thing. And I just want you to know it's very, very obtainable to live in a state of inner peace and in a state of homeostasis, of feeling happiness and bliss, peacefulness, contentness, satisfaction within yourself. And it's like the most calming and amazing feeling to feel. So just know that it's very possible. It's very attainable. I have this free guide called the Busy Girl Wellness Guide that I created with people like me in mind, where if you have a busy schedule and it's hard for you to even imagine like implementing any new habits into your life to foster this mindset shift, in the guide there's like some meditation practices and some positive self-talk phrases that can help with this. So I'll link that in the description as well. It also has like some ways you can be taking care of your vessels. Movement and taking care of myself has been a huge way of me being able to be present every day and helps me drop into myself physically and mentally. So that's something that I also do. Putting in that extra effort to try to be mindful more often really adds up, and it's baby steps that get you there. So just take one step at a time. I was gonna say one day at a time, but even just one moment at a time, like right now. Just take a second, take a breath with me. Inhale and exhale. Let go of anything that you're stressed about, thinking about, and just be present with me and feel the sensations around you, your senses, what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what you're smelling. Just be so present in your experience right in this moment. That is the key to happiness, in my opinion. Let me know if you have any other thoughts on this topic. If you have any practices that I didn't mention that help you stay in a state of conscious flow, some way that you stay in a positive high vibrational frequency, let me know. Just remember to take deep breaths and live mindfully.